thing at the minute is like, and I've seen a lot of this debate going on elsewhere about going back on the golf course. There's no doubt like that when we're going back on the golf course, there's going to be a step down, and golf will be one of the first sports back out there, and tennis will. God knows when. Whether I don't think it's going to be in a week or two. I'd say it'll probably be mid to late May at this stage. But the optics of it, like you'll have a lot of people saying, kind of, well, look at those assholes out playing golf while there's people dying in the hospital. And what I'm wondering is how does golf combat that sort of commentary? Anybody, any suggestion? I saw Mick Buggy there from Castlecomer mentioned in one of the other forums that what they did was they allowed the public out to walk on the golf course while the golf course is shut down. And they said that people respected it, and it meant that their community will have more respect for people when they do go back golfing. I thought it was a good idea, actually.
Yeah, we've done that as well, and just this morning we actually received an email from a young girl who has a child who's 2 or 3, just thanking us for letting her do that, and it's saying how beautiful it is, and it's just been a release for her, being able to. She hasn't got much of a garden. She's got a young child. It's just been good. So, yeah, I think that's the only thing we can do, Joe. Really, there's not a lot more.
It's trying to open the doors and let people in on the golf course while there's no golf being played, and let them walk around. But I don't think it's every golf course that will allow that, Andrew. For example, Galway Golf Club won't even let their members inside the gate to go for a walk around the course.
Okay. I suppose it'll vary in each golf club, so it will. But our great course manager seems to think it's good for the course. It's good to actually have people walking on the greens, even as long as they're not damaging them.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly good for PR for the club, I would say, and it might be a good way of attracting new members.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. The other thing, I didn't get a chance. For whatever reason, I couldn't. I thought I had recorded last week's meeting, lads. I can't seem to find a way of downloading it from Zoom, but I can't seem to find it in Zoom. But if I can manage it, I'll put it up somewhere. But I passed on some of the suggestions to a few golf clubs who were in touch with me during the week, and to be fair, there was a lot of good ideas came up last week, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I see Paula there is trying to join us. But I think we're all pretty much in agreement. It'll be a few weeks before we're out on the golf course again, yeah?
The date been rattled around up north here is the 18th of May at the minute. So if it was the 18th, I'd be delighted.
Well, that'd be a start anyways. It'd be nice if we got some kind of a date.
Yeah.
Just say quick.
What's the talk down south for you guys? Is it any talk of dates or?
Nobody seems to know, but I'd say it'll coincide with when they begin to ease the lockdown, and just from reading different articles, and it seems to be the suggestion is that they're not ready to start easing restrictions, and they won't be ready to start easing restrictions until they have enough testing capabilities for the virus, which is and they won't have enough testing capabilities till around the 18th or 19th of May, they're saying. And at that stage, they would hope to be able to. That's my reading of it. I don't know how anybody else feels.
Yeah, I think it'll be a sudden movement. That when they do ease the lockdowns, they won't give much of a build up to it, because I think people will maybe take the piss, and if they're told, like, as of next week, whatever the lockdowns might ease, they'll start easing back a wee bit before that.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'll give too much notice on it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have a feeling that they might try and stretch it past the June bank holiday, Joe.
You think so, Gary?
Yeah, and the reason being is just to stop people from travelling.
Yeah, I'm not in the know, so you could well be right.
The June bank holiday is one of the busiest ones for people traveling up and down the country.
Mm.
That would be my thoughts also, because once they open that up, then everybody will be gone to their caravans and holiday homes and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
For sure.
The one bit of positive news today, I saw the RNA announced that they've rescheduled a lot of the amateur championships for August and September.
Yeah, the amateur championship was put back, wasn't it, to the late summer?
They've announced dates for
like the 20th of August or something.
Around the 3rd or 4th week of August, I think.
Yeah.
In Birkdale. It won't bother me anyways, but I'm beginning to look more towards the seniors, unfortunately. but
it's a very hard one for them to. Like, there's so much procedure they have to go into the golf, Joe, before they can open it.
I unrealistically, I suppose, I was hoping that we might see some sort of movement on it in the next week or two, but that looks highly unlikely now. The other thing I see, there's a lot of debate. Some people don't feel that, say for example, they think that it looks elitist if you only let your members back out in the course first. But I really don't see how they can do it any other way.
I don't think they can.
Yeah, I don't either.
No, not if you're playing only in 2 balls, there'll be so much pent up demand. How could you have anyone else other than members?
Exactly, Jerry. I agree. You might have to use 2 nines.
Is two balls definite?
Actually, that's a great idea, Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 balls is not definite, but
is it just a recommendation?
It seems to be the recommendation. It may well be 3 balls, but nobody seems to know what's going on at the moment.
Yeah.
Just on that, Joe, when you say that, just as a point of discussion, when you say nobody seems to know what goes on, we haven't really heard much. Like, the GUI kind of, obviously they're in touch with, I'm sure, sports ministers or the government or whatever, but is there much consultation going on, I wonder? And will the GUI be, I wonder, issuing any advice, or I wouldn't use the word directive now, to golf clubs?
Well, I suppose,
membership fees or stuff like that, you know.
Just on that, Harry, I spoke with fairly high-ranking officials within the GUI, but it's a couple of weeks ago, and they were hoping that we would be back out golfing a week or so into May after the 5th. They were waiting for they were saying that they were lobbying very hard with the government to allow people back on the golf course with social distancing measures. And they had hoped that, seemingly, the head of the new Golf Federation of Ireland, a guy called Mark Kennelly, he's formerly Enda Kenny's private secretary or personal assistant or whatever you want, right-hand man, whatever you want to call him. He's now, so with the current caretaker administration that's in place, you'd have a lot of friends in that administration. So when restrictions do begin to ease, there's a man there in position that would have a lot of friends who I imagine will help. It'll be good for golf that they'll have somebody at the table who might be able to persuade people that it's good to open up golf courses again. And
Mark Kennelly is one of the kind of the bencher holders in Killarney, and I'll tell you this, he wasn't too popular as Enda Kenny's personal assistant.
With Fine Gael?
Yes. In fact, if you read, there's a back issue probably on the internet in the Phoenix magazine when, he was appointed because of his political connections, but I'll tell you this, he doesn't have that many of them. He isolated and upset a lot of people.
Well,
that's even within that crowd, I'll tell you now. That's even not within the other crowd.
Well, I suppose I'm only speaking, I suppose from speaking to people within the GOI, they felt that because of his connections within the current administration, that it would be a help. You'd have to think that he'd have some sort of relationship with some of that party. But going back to what you were asking, Harry, from what I can gather is that the GUI are lobbying government on behalf of getting golf opened as soon as possible. But
And the second question then, Joe, any vibe that the GUI might be willing to forego or discount the levy back to the golf clubs, knowing that the golf clubs are going to struggle massively with people either pausing their memberships or cancelling their memberships or whatever.
I
That's a good point, Harry.
what was suggested to me is that it's been looked at. No, sure, you can read into that as much as you like. Or
yeah, sure. Look, and I'm sure the GUI probably can't afford to be given back a percentage of levies either, as golf clubs can't afford to be refunding members any money. I saw at the very start of this, going back at least a month ago, there was, I think, one golf club over in England somewhere, and they kind of got a bit of PR out of it, that they decided straight off the bat they were going to give people 3 months credit going forward into next year. But I'd say the vast majority of golf clubs in Ireland couldn't afford to be dreaming of doing that, you know.
Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
Our fees at Candy Boy are due in January every year. We're contemplating putting them back maybe to March now, which I think will also help with retention of members anyway. We've been losing members quite a bit the last lot of years. It's not easy to pay your fees in January, so it's not. So it might be an opportunity for us to do it at this stage, to say, look, we're going to extend the 2020 membership an extra couple of months. It's really just pushing back the payment of the next year's membership.
Yeah. Just I see Vincent there. Vincent, how are you?
Sorry, lads.
Vincent is heavily involved. Is on. I hope you don't mind me saying, Vincent is on council in Borough Golf Club, who, like a lot of clubs at the moment, will be struggling financially in that, and missed you last week, Vincent. We had a good discussion on the retention of members and stuff like that. There was a few suggestions came up.
Yeah, it's very tricky. I mean, I suppose I was on management committees before out there, but I suppose I kind of drafted back in again this year. But we're in the middle of a perfect storm, really. I don't know if you know Borough Golf Club, lads, but we have a significant debt issue, as well as lots of clubs have. But we have a significant one. But we also now have a cash flow problem, which is been expedited, of course, by our good friend COVID, which is making life very difficult for us. And the sooner we open, the better. But yeah, I mean, one of the things I've kind of taken solace from is the CGI stuff. I don't know if you've discussed that at all, and the kind of 10-point plan that they've written. I think it's a couple of years old at this stage. I'm reading into that, and has basic stuff in there, like a business plan and communication to members, which we don't do well at all. I don't know what you do for communicating to your members, but we don't do that well at all. It's one of the things I'm constantly banging the drum about. Just even letting members know where we're at. I think it makes a big difference, and it'll get them to buy in to.
Give all the members' email addresses, Vincent.
Yeah, I see a lot of our demographic is such that a lot of them wouldn't even use email. Text is about as good as it gets. But even that, I mean, we do it poorly. That's one of the things we're looking at doing. But we do have an immediate cash flow problem, and we have a window from January to March for members to pay their subs, and it's generally accepted that by the 31st of March, if you haven't paid, you're getting a letter, and generally 90 to 95% of members do pay it in April. But we have a perfect storm now at the moment where we kind of delayed sending out letters. They only went out last week because of, a lot of lads that play golf are unemployed or whatever at the minute. But at the same time, I'm of the opinion that lots of members have paid, and we owe them a duty to kind of collect the money, So that's only just gone out. So we're hoping to get some traction on that. One of the other things we're looking at as well is allowing online payments on our website, that kind of stuff. So if somebody working on that at the moment through Stripe, which is going to be hopefully up and running by middle of next week, to do online payments. Something
Vincent, there's a $2,500 grant with local county enterprise boards?
Yeah, I've gone down that road, but golf clubs don't qualify for it. I spoke to someone in Tullamore about it. Any recreation, because we're set up as a members club. We're not a private club, and we don't qualify for it. I went to Dublin first,
That
and
seems crazy.
Yeah, then they sent me back towards Tullamore, and I spoke to a very helpful girl in there, and she actually called me late one evening on her own mobile, and she told me that unfortunately, no, she didn't talk to somebody in the golf clubs in particular are not included in this. It's seen as a recreational thing, and you don't get the grant. Simple as that. And that's to enable that type of work. Now, as it turns out, we have a retired developer actually on our membership who's a great member of the club, and he's taken on the task of doing that bit for us. And there's charges obviously for using the stripe, but it's only 1.something% plus 25 cents per payment for European cards. So it's not. I mean, it's in some ways it's pricey, but it's great value considering the way we kind of manage things at the moment in terms of, a fella rising with a check and he has to be given a receipt and a bit of papers filled in and all this kind of old way of working, So click of a button now, we can see who's paid. No, it's not running yet, but it will be in the next week or so.
I'll just give you a quick synopsis of some of the suggestions that came up last week, Vincent, because I know there's a very particular, and if any of the lads can help me out here if I forget anything, just because I know it's a very particular, it's a real live issue in Borough at the moment.
Joe, do you mind if I just ask Vincent something before you kick off?
Go ahead, Harry, yeah.
Vincent, at what level have you, or how deeply have you engaged with CGI and got their help over the last year and a half?
No, I think over the last year, contact has been made with them. Now, they were meant to come down and do a presentation to management about a month ago, but obviously that was shelved. Yeah. Now, I have from reading their report that's freely available online there, I know what they're going to say. It's all about governance of your club, and in our club, like most clubs, I'd imagine there's people working there that have kind of never been governed properly. And that's the key thing I want them to focus on, and it's the key thing we have to get right in our club, because we don't do it right at all, But we've been loosely engaged with them,
And there's a lot. When I was based down in Waterford, as I was for a long number of years, I suppose we hit this patch going back probably about 5 years ago, exactly what you were talking about. Quite a lot of debt, poor governance, expenditure kind of not really being properly tackled. I know you didn't specifically say that, but look, a lot of challenges, and we were very lucky that at the time we had a treasurer that was working for Bank of Ireland. He was dealing with a lot of the NAMA stuff, so seriously highly qualified and able guy, and we just happened to have him as treasurer. So he literally turned around the club, I suppose, in the space of about 2 years. With a huge amount of work and help and fairness from CGI. It's one thing they can come down and throw presentations across the table at you, but they do actually actively get involved and engage and put together plans. And okay, you need a very active and energetic committee with very able individuals on that committee, but is possible. And even outside of this forum, if you want to have a chat tomorrow, I can maybe
absolutely
put you in contact with a guy like that who has been there, done it. And I know the guy, and I've known him for years. I've no doubt that if you got him on the phone for half an hour, and maybe when this thing kind of eases a bit, you might be able to hook up in the future. But he'd definitely be a help. He kind of maybe tell you about some of the pitfalls that you might waste too much time on, and maybe some of the things that I suppose you really need to focus on very quickly, because to a certain extent you even admitted that a lot of your membership aren't on an email database, and then I wonder how effective will an online membership payment
it's more to aim at the kind of, we've a new social member category, and it's more aimed at young people. That's mainly what it's aimed at, and we have to be ready for them, because like my attitude to golf clubs is that golf club is the only place I use cash anymore, and it's to pay my 7 or 10 euros to play in a competition at the weekend. That's it. I don't use cash anywhere else, absolutely nowhere else. That's the only place. And then it's hard to trace who's paid what. Someone has to volunteer to count it every Sunday night or whatever, and it's just pain in the backside. All that stuff should be done away with. So that's interesting. Now I'd be very interested in talking to. What club is that?
Waterford. I was the pro down there for about
Okay.
14 years, but went
All
through
right.
it all. And in the last, and I finished up there about a year and a half ago. But in the last 3 or 4 years before I finished, they made serious changes and really turned the place around and got it back onto a decent platform and footing. A lot of people would have thought a city club like Waterford, long established, 100 and whatever it is, 15 years down there, but not like any other club, lose members and very competitive and
Yeah.
find themselves in a serious hole very quickly, you know.
Yeah.
But look, we can talk. We'll
Yeah.
share our details.
Joe has my number. Joe, would
Yeah.
you mind passing on? Because I'm actually off tomorrow.
I'll put you in touch. I'll send you on the contact details afterwards, lads.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'll run through this as quick as I can now, but just based on last week, we had, and I'll try and have a look back through the notes, Vincent. One of the things that I thought, there was a suggestion that clubs in the people love to represent their club. Now, the GY event inter-club competitions are probably gone this year, so they were talking about setting up local derbies, and particularly for clubs that are struggling with each other. So you could get 40 members from Board to play against 40 members from Roscrea in a home and away match, no prizes, but you pay a tenner to represent your club on the evening. So straight away, there's 800 quid for Borough Golf Club and 800 quid for Roscrea Golf Club. Two clubs that say they could do. Once, I suppose, once everybody's back in the golf course. There was another thing, there was a suggestion of a 50-50 campaign, a 50-50 fundraiser where everybody puts €2 into an envelope and a bucket at the first tee. At the end of the month, the club gets half the money and you raffle the other half of the money. There was a suggestion that meeting with local business, trying to add value to your membership. So basically, if you join Borough Golf Club, you might get a percentage off your next meal in Dooley's, or you might get a percentage off a fill of home heating oil, or you might get a free service when you buy a car, or you might get 500 quid off your next car at the local car dealership. And maybe
that's a good one,
offer a range of vouchers to, go to local businesses, say, will you give us some vouchers that we can give to our members if they join the club? Multi-year deals was another possible suggestion. Anybody else? Anything else off the top of your heads there from last week's conversation, lads? Or
the deal with the golf societies, if one of the non-members join, or a few of them join, you give them a free day out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the minutes somewhere. I'll have a look for them, Vincent, and I'll forward them on to you.
Yeah, grand. Okay, thanks, Joe.
So, Vincent, do you ever think of doing a monthly newsletter for your members?
Yeah, I was on management 3 years ago. That was discussed, and there was a subcommittee set up to do it, but it never happened. We're kind of a club that kind of ambles along, Gary, you've done that, have you? Or you do that, something you actually do?
I've seen it happen around where you just get your course superintendent, your PGA Pro, your committee, and you just do a section on each of them, and you can pin it up on your notice board. You can put it where people pay their money for their competitions, and just let them read it. It's just to get the word out there and get the interest back.
Yeah.
You could even get a local business to sponsor the newsletter as it goes. Vincent, maybe sponsor it for a month or 3 months, whatever, quarterly sponsorship or what local business might be willing to put a link there or something on a weekly newsletter.
Okay, cool. Yeah, okay.
Hiya, Paula.
Hello. Sorry, I was late and I had to drop off then for a few minutes.
No problem. Sorry, Gary, sorry to interrupt you.
Just for Vincent there, just for the likes of himself, if they do go ahead with the newsletter, try just get in touch with the likes of Justin Keogh and the young lads like that, and get them just to do a little story. Can you do a memory of when you were playing for the club, and just put that in there, so it's not all sort of money and everything like that. You're just trying to keep them in touch with what the club is all about.
Yeah, Richie and Stevie Grant, of course. Vincent, the others there,
We
and
would
yourself.
do
maybe,
we'd do an interview with our captain or a legend of the club, and things like that. Every so often, just something different.
Yeah. No, thanks for that. Yeah, to make it something that people look forward to reading rather than, I suppose, hearing bad news about, the bar still closed or whatever.
And in fairness, it's a great way, like say through a time like this, or even during the winter, if your course is closed a bit or whatever weather, it is a great way to kind of keep engaged from the club's point of view with your membership, and I suppose gives them more of a sense of club, and you're more likely to get that money in through the door than in January, even if they haven't played a whole lot. But I think, wasn't it Andrew mentioned, it's not a bad idea for a lot of clubs to kind of move away from the model of the 1st of January. Timing wise, it's an awful time to get a bill for 700, 800, 900 euros.
Yeah.
And equally at a time when we're probably playing the absolute least amount of golf as well,
Yeah. Has any of you tackled or thought about, like, for example, it came up the other night, we were having we have a kind of a strategic management committee set up now. It's a subcommittee of management, which is only 4 or 5 people on, and it's hopefully that's where we'll get a lot of heavy lifting done. But it came up the other night about, monthly membership. We'll say allowing people to join up in March or April, coming into the spring, into the summer season, and their membership runs until the following April, rather than this kind of yearly thing, if you know what I mean. It would be kind of you'd be stepping away from the kind of yearly kind of thing, and even allowing people to join for 6 months at a time or 8 months at a time. Is that something any clubs have?
We're about to do that now, Vincent, at Clandy Boy. We're going to launch and try and fast track a summer membership at the minute, but it's going to have a stipulation in it that it's off peak times, so you'll be taken off after 1:30 in the afternoon. So we're trying to fill up the times. It's normally freer. We're giving it a bit of a discount, obviously. We're also at the minute about to do a 9-month membership starting in June. We're trying to fast track people in while there's still the scare of, if you're not a member of a club, you mightn't get playing golf till God knows when at the minute with the COVID-19.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do a 9-month one. Our normal fees are about 1,100 quid. So we're going to do actually 10 months. It's going to be first payment of 250 quid, and then £50 a month afterwards, and that'll take you through the end of March. Our thinking behind that, we're still at January at the minute. We're going to try and push it back to the end of March. But if it didn't, if our payments don't go to the end of March, there's 3 months in, and then if they want to rejoin next year, it's going to be on a pro rata basis. It'll almost seem like there's a bit of discount there for next year already.
I get you. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. Yeah. And you have to go to AGM for something like that, do you, Andrew?
Not at the minute. No, we're going to be able. It's just a new membership category we're going to pass. We done a summer membership last year. We got about 25 people. From the 25 people, four stayed on and became full members.
Okay.
Which it's not a bad ratio.
Just be careful there, lads, with regards to your registrations for your GUI and the ILGU or Golf Ireland, as it will be, because they have to be members of the club by the 1st of March, I think it is, in the year. So just and all of that. So just
poll tax, is it?
Which?
For poll tax, Paul, is it? For poll tax purposes with the...
No, I think it's also as part of when you're playing for teams and all that you have to be registered, and you have to be, as well as paying, as well as getting the bill from them to pay over the levy or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think it's a poll tax, isn't it?
Is that what they call it? Yeah. Okay, but it's just also from being members for registration for teams and all that, you have to be in. Know, so yeah.
All right, just see. I don't know what's going to happen. It's telling us we're going to run out of time here in 4 minutes. But
I think so, Joe. Yeah, you might have to start again then, or whatever.
We might, if people are interested in starting again. I suppose just going back to the original theme of the meeting, we were talking about the optics of opening up golf courses. There's no doubt golf will be probably one of the first sports to be back. Golf and tennis, I reckon, I suppose. But you will have a certain amount of begrudgery out there where people will say, "Oh, look at those assholes out playing golf, and the rest, and they're killing people, and this, that, and the other." Or there will be an element to that, but I suppose just going back to the thing, I thought that suggestion earlier about clubs, what you were saying, Andrew, what you did in Clandeboye, letting people go out on the golf course and have a walk, whether they're members or not. People might even see how nice it is and decide to join the club afterwards.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, Joe, we couldn't police it, so they were going to be out there anyway. So we thought we might as well just go with it.
Yeah.
So you can't win a battle. It's impossible to win. So we thought we'd try and turn it and just say, like, come on ahead and enjoy it, but at the same time, just be respectful of it.
Yeah. Well, I suppose there's an opportunity. I know it was mentioned last week that the opportunity at the minute is that, particularly for youngsters, and this is what every club needs, is lifeblood. Lads that are into team sport, whether it be rugby, soccer, hurling, football, whatever it is, they won't be going back in a hurling field or a football field anytime soon.
Yeah.
And it'd be a good time to be targeting those. They might like to get out and play a bit of golf. It'd be a good time to be targeting people like that.
Sorry, Joe, there, Philip Summers here at the right. Just going on. Good. Sorry, I was listening more than anything. I didn't join last week. I didn't think about it. But is just the young people and that, and even non-members, like the talk around at the right at the moment certainly is that you just said there are hurlers and footballers and at the right is full of all that, as we know in soccer even. But a lot of these are going to think that if golf clubs do reopen fairly soon, as we all hope, that they will want to get back into playing something. And if it is only members that are doing so, that we could have an influx of members, which would be brilliant, obviously, in our own point of view. But obviously, there's a lot of clubs around that area that could do with the business also. So that is massively said in the last week around our area.
Yeah, getting a sense of that as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The thing then will be to manage the tea times. Who gets out if you're only allowed 2 lads out every 15 minutes?
Yeah. In an already very busy club, as you know, Joe, it's something that we would have to look at. All right, but just on dates, the 12th were heard, and maybe 18th. I heard that from an actual guard out of Galway there last weekend. But as we all know, it's changing every day. So look a touch for it.
Yeah.
I was betting I'd say around the 19th of May sometime, but
I presume you all saw the fake letter sent around on WhatsApp to see them.
We fell for it.
Very funny.
So did I. I was already going into the missus booking my time sheet on Saturday morning.
And she went, only joking.
I would love to find whoever started that. I think we should put them in the middle of putting green and stone them with golf balls.
Absolutely.
Listen, guys, I won't come back on. Harry, you might give or Joe, you might pass on Harry's.
Yeah, I pass it on afterwards, Vincent. Yeah.
I'd like to hear that story, and
I'll give you a shout tomorrow, Vincent. Yeah, perfect.
Folks, we might wrap it up for tonight, unless anybody has a burning desire to continue the meeting.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Keep us posted online, Joe, with anything going on. That's great. Thank you.
Other than read those links there, because they'll put a smile on your face. And lastly, a happy birthday to Joe.
Happy birthday, Joe.
Oh, happy birthday, Joe.
Oh, Jesus. I thought I'd knocked that notification off Facebook.
Which one, Joe? Which one?
What, Joe? Is it the big 50
tomorrow?
Is it the big 50 tomorrow, Joe?
No, near enough, Jerry. Near